Hello, I'm Andrew Pritchard, and thank you for watching today's Canada Regional Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, I want to start off with this loop from Tracy Dick. She's a storm chaser in central Alberta, and she shot this time lapse of a supercell thunderstorm coming off the Front Range in central Alberta just a couple of days ago, and it really shows a couple of things quite well. The first and most obvious is the rotation within the updraft of this storm. This was what sets it apart from other ordinary storms, this rotating updraft, this tilted updraft that gives it the longevity to live for several hours, and the rotation that gives it the potential to produce a tornado. The other thing that you notice here is this big blocky cloud down near the ground, and this is your wall cloud. If you were going to get a tornado, this is where that would be, where that would likely develop. And what you're seeing is the warm air being ingested into the updraft of the storm and condensing in the form of this blocky wall cloud right here. And then off to your right, seeing this murky gray area, that's where you've got the heaviest rain and hail falling within this storm. So really cool couple of things here: the rotation of the storm, the wall cloud, and where you would potentially get your tornado to develop right in this region, and then your heavy rain and hail off to the right. The potential for more of this across the Canadian prairies here as we head into Friday afternoon and evening. We do have a moderate risk from Environment Canada here for some strong storms across central and southern Saskatchewan into southwestern Manitoba. Also looking for the chance for an isolated strong storm across central Alberta underneath the upper level low across this region. Now, a little meteorology 101 here, looking at our trough, this upper level wave punching into the area. We can kind of draw our trough in here, this U shape in the jet stream winds. We draw the axis in there, and it's in the leading edge of the trough, just ahead of that, where we see the greatest upward vertical motion, which leads to the development of showers and thunderstorms, the greatest upward vertical motion within the profile of the atmosphere on the leading edge of these stronger jet stream winds. On the backside of our trough in this area, now it's more complicated than this, but broadly speaking, this is where we see downward motion within the profile of the atmosphere, sinking motion, which obviously you think about, rising motion being thunderstorms, rain and thunderstorms. Sinking motion is going to be the opposite of that. It's a drier pattern, and that becomes important here in just a moment. So we've got this strong trough pushing into the Canadian prairies here, right across parts of southern Saskatchewan, eventually into parts of southern Manitoba, atop a warm and unstable air mass. Here we look at instability, highest across the central plains into the northern plains, but a tongue of that pushing now into southern Saskatchewan and eventually into southern Manitoba. And remember, we've got strong jet stream winds over the top of that, and that's what gives us the combination of strong wind shear, strong upper-level jet stream winds, and a warm and humid air mass kicking off the potential for strong to severe storms across southern Saskatchewan, southern and central Saskatchewan, there we go, and southern Manitoba, and then perhaps an isolated strong storm where we got a pocket of meager instability across parts of central Alberta. Now, the same front is going to kick the moisture out of the area that we've enjoyed for the last 7 to 10 days, bringing daily chances for showers and storms to much of the region. We can see that here. We'll go ahead and draw the front in right here, and we're going to watch it kick the moisture off to the east. Here we see this tongue of warm and unstable air, this humid air mass lifting in from the northern plains of the United States. But as we play this loop out, here we see it get kicked off to the east by that front. Quickly does it right there. You see it. As we get into the end of this loop on Monday and Tuesday, we do see some moisture returning, dew points getting up to around 60 degrees Fahrenheit, at least the mid to upper 50s, which is at least, marginally moist, enough for some scattered showers and maybe an isolated thunderstorm as this next front pushes through the region. You see it right there. As we get to late in the day, Monday, into the day on Tuesday, this front is going to sink across the region, bringing isolated chances for rain, showers, and thunderstorms. But without the deeper moisture, which is now off to the central United States, across the Midwestern United States, the opportunities for widespread rain going to be coming to an end, at least in the short term, across the Canadian prairies. We'll look at 6-hour precipitation accumulation from the European long-range model. We'll step this out, and that's going to show this exact same thing. Here, as we go through the day on Friday, seeing the chances for more widespread showers and storms across central Alberta into southern Saskatchewan and southern Manitoba. As we take this through the weekend now, we're into Saturday. Here we're seeing showers and storms flaring up across Manitoba late in the day on Saturday, and then also across more scattered and isolated in nature across central Alberta into northern Saskatchewan, again Saturday afternoon, evening, and Saturday night. As we get into the end of the weekend now, we're on Sunday. More widespread rain chances obviously following the moisture with that front off to the east. As we get into now Sunday evening into Monday, we're seeing this front sink across the region And again, without abundance of moisture here across the Canadian prairies, we're struggling to get precipitation along that front. Though I do think we'll see at least scattered rain showers developing here late Monday, and then into the day on Tuesday across the Canadian prairies here. But it does look like the bulk of the precipitation we're going to see for the next 10 days is going to be what falls here Friday, Saturday, and then potentially Sunday across Manitoba. So the next 24 to 72 hours is going to hold the majority of the precipitation for the next 10 days as we do shift to a bit of a drier pattern into the end of June and beginning of July. And that's why as we check in with soil moisture anomalies, again, getting significant precipitation across parts of central Alberta here over the next 24 to 72 hours, and then maybe some rainfall late Monday into Tuesday, going to be why we expect to continue to erode the precipitation deficit in this region. But as we talk about the primary Canadian prairie region, we're going to be holding on to some of these drier soil moisture anomalies at least over the next 10 days. Now, again, we talked about our trough. We draw it in here, that U shape on the leading edge. That's where we see upward motion. On the back side of our trough, that's where we see sinking motion. So let's go ahead and see where we're going. As we look at things Friday now, the leading edge of that trough across the Canadian prairies, widespread rain, shower, and thunderstorm activity, perhaps even some severe weather. We've talked about that here Friday afternoon and evening, potentially Saturday and Sunday from west to east. So by the time we get to Sunday, probably going to be talking about just Manitoba with that strong storm potential. As we play this out, though, we'll go through time just to kind of show you the trend. This trough kicks through the region. Here we get into Saturday evening, seeing the best chance for rain and storms across southern and central Manitoba, with more scattered shower activity possible across northern Alberta and northern Saskatchewan. As we now go into Sunday and Monday, seeing things dry across the Canadian prairies. We get into Monday afternoon and Monday evening now. This is when we're seeing that front sink through the region. And remember, we took the deep moisture and we kicked it east of the region. So this front sinking through Monday and Tuesday, but we're seeing widely isolated shower activity, maybe a thunderstorm if anything here. But as this front goes through, it's going to do so pretty quietly without the really warm and moist air mass ahead of it that we took away here with this front that moves through Saturday and Sunday. So again, as we kind of play this out, what you're seeing is by the time we get to the middle to late part of next week, we've got this trough now setting up to the north, a broader trough through the flow. And where are we now? We're on the back side where, broadly speaking, we've got sinking motion within the profile of the atmosphere, and that's going to lead us to a drier pattern across the Canadian prairies here for the first week of July. We'll look at total precipitation accumulation across the Canadian prairies here, and you're seeing scattered precipitation accumulate here in the very early part of the loop. This is that system that goes through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There you see it. And as this loop continues to play, you're not seeing very much in the way of additional precipitation accumulating across the Canadian prairies. We do have this front that moves through late Monday into Tuesday, but it's going to be moisture starved. And that's why I think that, again, as we talk about the next 7 to 10 days, in terms of total precipitation, the majority of what we see over the next 7 to 10 days comes Friday and Saturday, and then potentially Sunday across parts of Manitoba. But again, the next 24 to 72 hours, what we've got at that point is probably, for most, what we're going to see for the next 7 to 10 days, unless we see some changes here. Another way to kind of visualize this, we'll look at precipitable water within the atmosphere, and this is if you were to take a vertical column in the atmosphere, take all the moisture available and just literally wring it out. This is how much precipitation we could get. And you see this moisture tongue kind of feeding up and over the top of that upper level low now that sits across southern Manitoba. This is what gives us that chance for showers and storms from central Manitoba, central Alberta. I'm getting my provinces mixed up here Friday morning. And then the chance for more widespread showers and storms, perhaps some severe weather across southern Saskatchewan and southern Manitoba. But watch what happens as we play this loop out. You're going to see this moisture tongue be kind of kicked off to the east, and then a drier environment overall taking hold of the Canadian prairies. And we can go ahead and we'll step through time with this as well, and just show you kind of what we're dealing with as this front goes through Monday and Tuesday. So here's our moist air mass. We see it kind of fueling the shower and storm activity across southern Saskatchewan and southern Manitoba now, Friday and Saturday. Here comes the front, though. Now we see this drier punch coming in from the west, taking the more moist axis, taking that with it. By the time we get to the end of the weekend now, seeing the more moisture-laden air mass well off to the south across the Midwest of the United States. And then even as this front sinks into the region here Monday and Tuesday, this is the front now making its way through, seeing really a lack of deep moisture across the area. And so that's why I think this front late Monday into Tuesday goes through pretty quietly. And then again, as we get to the end of this loop, the more deep moisture well off to the south across the United States south of the border. And that's why, again, I think that as we head into the first week of July, things will be drier overall across the Canadian prairies. And that's shown well here by the day 4 through 10 precipitation anomaly forecast from the GFS ensemble model. This takes us in, through the last day or so, or at least the first week of July, seeing a drier axis across much of the Canadian prairies, perhaps seeing some thunderstorm activity making its way just across the border from the northern plains, but the more active corridor going to be setting up now from maybe the front range of Alberta into the northern United States, with the Canadian prairies being, perhaps not completely shut down. Maybe we tap into some of this activity off to the south, but overall drier for the first week of July. This is shown well by the National Blended Model as well, just to show kind of one more illustration of this as the loop begins. You're seeing plenty of precipitation activity across the Canadian prairies here in the early stages. This is Friday and Saturday now, seeing this storm system here. You can see kind of curled around here, bringing the front through the region with thunderstorm activity across central Alberta and southern Saskatchewan Friday, getting into southern Saskatchewan and southern Manitoba Saturday into perhaps early Sunday. And then by the time we get to the early part of next week, now we're on late Sunday into Monday. Here comes that front passing mostly quietly Monday and Tuesday, and then drier on Wednesday and Thursday as well. You're seeing the more active corridor, if I take my drawing off, as I kind of bounce back and forth Wednesday through Friday of next week. You're seeing the bulk of the activity now south of the United States-Canada border, with the Canadian prairies perhaps not fully shut down, but seeing very isolated rain opportunities for the first week or so of the month of July. Take a look at temperatures just to finish it out, with this trough making its way through the region, rain and cloud cover keeping things cooler across Alberta, with warmer temperatures, warmer than average temperatures across southern Manitoba, the dividing line kind of moving through Saskatchewan here. Again, this is the next 5 days, so taking us through July 2nd. As we go out beyond that, again, we're going to be building in, on the backside of this trough, kind of a cooler but drier pattern overall across the Canadian prairies. This is now the first, July 3rd through the 7th approximately, looking at cooler conditions across the Canadian prairies on the backside of that front that moves through Monday and Tuesday of next week. Total precipitation accumulation across just Alberta now, taking a zoomed in look. Here we see the precipitation accumulating here Friday and Saturday as this first system moves through. Towards the end of the loop, you see maybe a little additional rainfall falling Monday and Tuesday from that front moving through the region, but overall it looks like southern Alberta going to be drier as we head through the early part of next week, as again we shift to just a less favorable pattern overall across the Canadian prairies. High temperatures for the day on Friday, the lower 20s in the south here, where we've got more widespread rain and cloud cover across central Alberta, keeping things a bit cooler in the mid-teens, warmer off to the north of that. Heading through the day on Saturday, teens pretty much widespread on the backside of this storm system now, with mid-20s in far southern Alberta. And now Monday, here is that front, very obvious, moving across the region. But remember, typically we'd expect a strong front like this to be kicking off thunderstorm activity across this region, but we are moisture starved on the backside of this system that kicks out during the weekend with warmer temperatures but lower moisture values. It's really going to struggle to kick off precipitation across the region. Tuesday on the backside of the cold front, which has now made its way all the way through the Canadian prairies, seeing high temperatures during the day on Tuesday in the mid-teens across much of Alberta, near 20 degrees in the far south. The same thing, pivoting east, looking at Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Here you see scattered precipitation here, accumulating pretty rapidly at the beginning of the loop. This is Friday and Saturday, perhaps early Sunday in parts of Manitoba. And again, the reason this precipitation is splotchy in nature is because it comes from thunderstorms that will not be completely widespread across the area. But again, this is going to be the main driver of the majority of the precipitation that we do see over the next 7 to 10 days. This front moves into the area late in the loop here, bringing perhaps isolated chances for some showers and storms, but unless we see some kind of drastic change in the available moisture across the region on the backside of this storm system over the weekend, again, Monday and Tuesday going to be pretty moisture starved across the region, and not expecting any widespread thunderstorms with that front moving through Monday and Tuesday. High temperatures for the day on Friday, very warm to the south. This is where we'll be topping the upper 20s, at least to close to 30 across parts of southern Manitoba. upper teens to near 20 degrees across the north. As we get into the day on Saturday, now we're seeing this front make its way through the region. Warmest in advance of that area of low pressure, cooling off now on the back side of the front as it makes its way through the region, but upper 30s, or lower 30s, I should say, possible across southern Manitoba during the day on Saturday. Sunday, the front begins to kick through the region, cooling us off a bit. A reinforcing shot of cooler air making its way in now Monday into Tuesday. Our Monday high temperatures in the upper 20s across southern Saskatchewan and Manitoba to near 10 degrees in the north. By the time we get to Tuesday, this front has made its way through much of the area, still hitting the upper 20s to near 30 in far southern Manitoba, but cooling off now in the mid to upper teens for your high temperatures on Tuesday across much of Saskatchewan and Manitoba. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have a look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Monday morning ag forecast video, and I'll have your next Canadian regional update midday on Tuesday. Have a wonderful day and a fantastic weekend.